told you folks a couple weeks ago about my experience with having roommates. If you haven't seen it, you can click here. I'll give you a second. Alright, well let me tell you, I barely scratched the surface. It's time for me to tell you about what my roommate that I call Jackass put me through. Now most of the stuff that Jackass did was stuff that annoyed me personally, so I won't go into those. What I will tell you though is the absolute worst incidents involving him. So one time, Jackass asked me if he could use my laundry card, something that we needed to get the washer and dryer to work in our apartment complex. I said no. Did he accept my answer like a man and go about his business? Called me every dirty word in the book for 1 hour straight. You'd think that would be the end of that. You'd think? Later on, the same day, he asked me again in a cute and innocent tone, "So I could borrow your laundry card, right?" I couldn't believe it. It's like he completely forgot what happened earlier that day. Wanting to avoid another verbal tirade by him, I said, "Yeah, sure, whatever." In hindsight, that wasn't a good idea. The next day, I'm coming to the apartment after class, and he says, "I could borrow your laundry card, right?" Remembering how much of a jerk he was, I said, "No." "You said I could, dude." Well, I changed my mind. "You're a liar! I don't with liars. I hope you didn't have a bad day because you're in for a rough night." I found out quickly what he meant by that. Next thing I knew, my DVD player was missing, so I couldn't watch my cartoons, and the light bulb to my lamp was gone, so I couldn't read books. I knew he was the one taking my stuff. But I kept my cool and tried not to crack. I got out my portable DVD player, and then he came into the room and swiped it off my table. "Why are you taking my stuff?" "I told you, dude, I don't with liars." See, this was before the knife incident that I told you folks about in my other roommate video. So at this point, I was afraid of taking this guy off because I didn't know what he was capable of. So, on the brink of tears, I gave up to his demands. Let me remind you folks, all this craziness over a frickin' laundry card. There was no such thing as a personal subject with him. He felt he was entitled to every bit of information he could get out of you. I called him out on that on more than one occasion, and his only defense was, "I'm a curious person." If he was a cat, he'd be dead. Oh, I don't want to think about dead kitties. Here. So anyway, there were some personal secrets that I had to tell him simply because he wouldn't stop badgering me for them. Me and him were the only ones in the room when I told him these secrets, and I told him, "Whatever is said in this room is between you and me." He nodded in agreement. The next day, I'm coming to my apartment, and he has 5 friends over smoking weed. Yeah, that happened a lot. And one of his friends made a comment related to what I told Jackass the previous day. I'm not gonna say it, because like I said, it's personal, but yeah, he actually told his friends some information that I gave him, and I trusted him with. This is why I have trust issues now. And when I told him how much I didn't appreciate him telling his friends something that I told him not to say, he replied with, "I needed something to talk about." Oh, of course, of all the things you stoners could have talked about, my personal information was the most interesting. Give me a break. Alright, last one. So long story short, Jackass was letting his friends sell weed in our apartment. My other roommates and I told him that we didn't like he was putting our lives at risk by letting shady characters come by our apartment to sell weed. After we told him that, he flipped us off. Coda was one of my other roommates, and he called the police to try to get Jackass arrested. But there wasn't any weed deals going on when it happened, so Jackass didn't get caught. He found out it was Coda who called the police, and to a wannabe gangster like Jackass, snitching was a declaration of war. So what did Jackass do to get revenge on Coda? I promise I'm not making this up. He peed in Coda's food. He peed in Coda's food. We have a saying where I'm from, act your age, not your shoe size. This is acting your shoe size. And his explanation for it was, "Well, I can't beat him up for snitching on me, so that's what I felt was the right thing to do." The right thing to do, huh? I usually like to talk problems out like adults, but I guess I'm just crazy for thinking that. Well, that's the worst about Jackass I can tell you. Besides the constant physical threats, verbal abuse, letting strangers live in our apartment without consulting me and my other roommates, inviting at least 5 of his friends over every night to party, taking my food without asking me, constantly complaining about people doing things that he himself was guilty of, not buying toilet paper when it was his turn, calling me childish simply because I watch cartoons, and flat out saying that the reason he treated me like crap was because he knew I wasn't going to do anything to him. Other than that, I got nothing. Well, this video was kind of depressing. Don't worry, I'll be sure to talk about something lighter next week. How about animals? Everybody loves animals. Give this video a like for some animal stories next week.